What's up, guys? This is Jay from COI. So I said that I was just not going to talk about Iran-U.S. Conflict today, and I guess I should have ran it through with the Ayatollah because um, Iran did launch missiles at U.S. forces in Iraq at two military bases at Al-Assad and Erbil. So early reports are saying there was 12 ballistic missiles fired um, at these military bases. And again, these are early reports, but that no U.S. soldiers were harmed, and that there may have been a few Iraqi security force agents who were members who were harmed, but there's no word on how many or if the injuries actually happened. I've had, and with these early reports, you can't you can't really tell. I've waited a little while because they did say that Trump was going to address the nation tonight, but that was rescinded, and I guess we're going to hear from him tomorrow. So here we go. Um, this is it, I guess. I've I want to start off by one saying that if you followed the show, the last couple episodes we've been talking about what the conflict was leading up to, and that and I've said in previous shows that America is going to wait for Iran to attack, and when Iran, I shouldn't even say attack, when they retaliate, then America is going to play the, victim card and go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you attacked us." And we're going to war. Oh my god, they're dangerous. They're terrorists and they need to be shut down. I mean, look what they did with Soleimani. It's interesting how he's the most dangerous terrorist you've never heard of. You know, I keep hearing he was the most dangerous terrorist in the world. Was he though? Was he really, or was he a general fighting in a war? Because it kind of sounds like that. And if you want to call soldiers or generals or commanders terrorists for being in opposing militaries, then I feel like we've had quite a few war criminals leading our country for the past few decades. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so looking at Iraqi TV or Iraqi and Iran state TV, uh, there's been a few consistencies. Iraq has basically said we are going to have to vote again on the proposal to kick America out, essentially. And instead of it being kind of this soft proposal, we are going to need to demand that America withdraws. And yet it's a very counterintuitive thing for them to do because they also know that the only thing that's stopping Iran from taking over is America being there. But America being there turns Iraq into a battlefield. And understand that a lot of, especially the Iraqi government right now, has been so rebuilt and a lot of the people have been relocated. It's not a pride of nation for them, it's about survival. And I think either way they can see that they're stuck in the middle and they are the true victims of the situation. Those people, I pray to God that they won't, but they're the ones who are going to have the hundreds and thousands of casualties and civilians who had nothing to do with this and are not playing war games. They're just trying to survive. But Iran State TV also came at this, and it's an interesting take for me because the Ayatollah addressed his people by saying the um, the Royal Guard, the Royal Revolutionary Guard, is responsible for this ballistic attack. And yet, it's interesting because it seemed like they were appeasing their people. The public has been so outraged, since U.S. forces killed Soleimani, that there has been protests, riots, um, a guttural, kick in the face to them. And the Iranian people have just been demoralized and angered. And they needed a response. Iran had to respond. And I believe the Ayatollah and many of the Iranian generals and security members knew that they had to respond. They're going to lose their country if they don't respond. Not to mention just their own civilians that need a response, but if they don't respond to Trump, it's going to put them in a bad place. But the thing I find interesting, and after they shot those 12 ballistic missiles, there was a statement that said this is a retaliatory attack, basically saying, hey, you punched me, I punched you back. And they asked for it to just die there, and that be it. Basically, hey, we're even now, so let's call it good. You back away, we'll back away. Already, mainstream media is saying that Iran is threatening us, that Iran has agents all around the world in Hezbollah and the Quds forces who could attack at any time. And so you're seeing the mainstream war machine fire up already, and I mean they're salivating. They're wanting this so bad. Without probably admitting that most of them are financed by defense contractors. People like Mark Esper, who has made a huge name recently. Um, People have to realize that this guy, his last job was working for Raytheon, one of the biggest defense contractors in America. So even though Iran's retaliatory attack was measured and limited, mind you, that the truth about Iran having agents all around the world is true. And they could have done a lot of things. They could have done attacks here in America. They could have attacked military forces in different parts of the world who weren't even expecting it. But instead, it was a very measured, very, very pampered attack. Um, as far as we know right now. Like, again, we're not hearing how many people were injured, if any at all. But it almost seemed like, hey, we have to do this for our people, and we have to show that we have some spine, but we really hope that this doesn't escalate. And I think that's the situation that they're in, and they are still saying we don't want war. Tit for tat, let's call it good. You have a bully pushing you around, you have to respond. And I believe that's where they're at. And they're they were getting it from both sides, their people and our government, um, and still calling for a sit down. And I do find that to be another interesting thing. One thing that we got to talk about is what was dominating the media recently was Iran pulls out of nuclear deal. They're going to start making nuclear weapons. But Trump did that almost 2 years ago. Remember? He said, no, this is a shit deal. I'm walking away. But that means that Iran has been following that deal up until now. That speaks a lot for them and what their integrity is. Again, not an Iran sympathist. All countries are kind of, disgusting in their own manner. um, but in this scenario, we have a lot of information that suggests that they were following a deal that our president backed out of. And they're still willing, as it seems, to make another deal to not only compromise a ceasefire, but potentially to get rid of some of the sanctions that are against them. And that is an issue in Iran right now. Remember, these people haven't had adequate medicine and a lack of food for a long time due to our sanctions. Their economy is just in a downward spiral because we have sanctioned their oil and their money from oil. We're allowing people to buy it, but we're freezing their funds. So Iran is not doing well, and in so many ways, Donald Trump is incredibly lucky because when you corner a dog who's hungry, who's angry, the dog's gonna strike. The dog usually doesn't say, "Okay, let's sit down and talk about this." And I think that we have a chance for peace with Iran, and I just hope that people like Esper and Lindsey Graham and these war hawks who've never contributed a fucking thing to an actual war um, don't don't get Trump too rallied up, and hopefully we can actually talk about a peace treaty of some sort, and hopefully that's the story tomorrow, is that this is all over with. Um, but I don't know. I There's that glimmer of hope, but it's just a glimmer. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. By the way, I would appreciate any responses at all. Like, if you guys want to make video responses, I would totally check them out. I would be happy to do it. It'd be fantastic. That's kind of what I wanted to do here, is to just create a channel where people can discuss their ideology and their theories on things. And it doesn't have to be a debate. It doesn't have to be a trolling situation or you're right, you're wrong. Just discuss openly. And if you do disagree with me, by the way, because I've had quite a few people who say, you're just wrong, you're wrong. Dude, I'll take it, but let me know what I'm wrong about. Explain it. I would love to have that conversation. I think that's what we need right now. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. You have a good evening. I'm sure talk to you tomorrow.